However, V8 Supercars Australia are doing a wonderful gesture this weekend. They've asked all of the drivers to turn their lights on in an effort to shine their lights on epilepsy this weekend and help bring epilepsy out of the shadows. Around 2% of the population suffers from epilepsy, and it remains as one of the most misunderstood conditions in today's society. So well done, V8 Supercars Australia, as we take a look at this Mitsubishi Fuso starting grid and its combined efforts of races 1 and 2. It's a Tander, Courtney front row. As we roll down through the field, it's an all-forward second row with Bright and Lowndes, Rick Kelly, Russell Ingall. Gee, he's good at just punching away, isn't he, Russell Ingall? Points, points, points. That's what he's all about. And then we run on through the entire grid. Someone I would like to give a pat on the back to after race 2 was Jason Bargwanna, who didn't finish the first race, which means he started right at the back with Todd Kelly, and he finished 13th in the WPS Ford. That was a mighty effort. Jamie Whincup further back there with a little bit of work to do. But some people getting a little bit of wrist slaps. Their wrists slapped after race 2.
Yeah, both those things, Lee. I came from the IPO's office a few moments ago, and Jason Richards put his hand up for the involvement in the incident at Turn 1, Race 2, with all those cars going off. He has effectively been given what is the time equivalent of a drive-through penalty, 27 seconds. You can mirror that for Todd Kelly for his role in the Turn 6 incident with Steve Owen that we question marked at the end of Race 2. And also Stephen Johnson for a move that didn't work on Bradley Jones. And of course, Jamie Whincup had to shortcut the track between turns 3 and 6 because of the brake drama. And he's also had a time penalty, although that really didn't affect his ultimate finishing position.
So there you have it, the Mitsubishi Fuso starting grid, all 31 cars, and their combined efforts of the first 2 races sees them start as they are. Now, Ford has dictated here for the past 5 years. Tander is about to spoil that party if he can get a strong points result in this 3rd and final race. Round 6, we head to Oran Park after this, and then the Enduros, Sandown and Bathurst after that. This is an important round. Tander is the championship leader, and Lowndes continues the chase. Courtney wants his first win. Good start, Russell Ingall. Got straight across in front of Rick Kelly, right from the outset. Look at Lowndes on the inside. He's not close enough to get Courtney, though. Tander leads them through. Courtney a little wide and a little ragged, and Lowndes sniffs that. He's gone up the inside of James Courtney. Can't quite get there, though.
No, he didn't get there, but James was well sideways at 1, and he is again at 2. That'll make him vulnerable under brakes as they get down towards the hairpin at 3. He's going to have to cover. It'll be on down here.
They all take the defensive line. Up into turn 3. It's been a hot spot this weekend. And again, Courtney runs wide. He does not get a good exit out of turn 3. Lowndes has a shot up the outside, but that's the wrong side of the track for the next turn.
Sometimes it takes a while for cold tyres to clean up when they've come off the car from a previous race, and so the way the car was sliding, he certainly looked uncomfortable on this tyre set. Lowndes has got him through to 2.
Very aggressive right from the word go, Craig Lowndes, and now Jason Bright's lining up for a shot at Courtney. It doesn't get any closer than this. And guess who has skipped away? Garth Tander is gone. Top 2 in the championship are the top 2 in this race.
Garth Tander's bolted. 1:17.2 standing lap time. The margin 2.4 seconds. He's on fire. Greg Murphy aggressively on the radio, very upset about something.
Here's second place Craig Lowndes, then Courtney, then Bright, then Russell Ingall, then Rick Kelly, Stephen Richards, Mark Winterbottom, and Paul Radicic is having an outstanding round for Team Kiwi Racing. Greg.
Already the coaching and the praise has started at the Toll HSV dealer team. Matty Nielsen, engineer for Garth Tander, has said, good job, good start. Let's get on with this. Build the buffer. That's their plan. They want to build a buffer very early in this race.
Paul Morris, the meat and the sandwich there between Dean Canto and Will Davison, who was very forceful on the inside, but credit to all 3 drivers, they kept it clean.
Yeah, it was a great job. I didn't think you'd get 3 cars through there, and Will did it on the dirty side of the road, which is even more remarkable. That remark that Greg made about the coaching on the radio, Matty's saying to Garth, now be careful with those rear tyres, concentrate on your power down, get good corner exits, and let's get on with making a gap.
Paul Dumbrell trying to force his way through. He's surrounded by Tasman Motorsport Commodores at the moment. Jason Richards ahead of him. Andrew Jones behind him. Boy, it's been a wild start to the third race.
1 minute 12.02. First flying lap for Garth Tander. The margin 3.1 seconds to Craig Lowndes, Courtney, Bright, Ingle, Rick Kelly, Stephen Richards, Winterbottom, Radisish, Scaife is the 10, then Whincup and Murphy next. And Greg's on the radio complaining about the behaviour of the car. I think I didn't quite get the message. If not the car, then perhaps some of the traffic.
Tander is cruising at the moment. In excess of a 3-second lead. Zinger replay. And that was Whincup getting sideways. And then Jason Bargwanna. The final turn outside turn 6, and now he's playing catch-up.
Garth Tander's going to further improve his lap time on this one. He's got empty road as Todd Kelly sneaks up the inside of turn 4. That's Andrew Jones. He's just put the move on. And that's for position 21. Busy field, this one. Garth's done the best split to sector 2 now, a 55.3. Here he is. Have a look at the daylight behind Garth Tander. There it is. 1 minute 11.9. 4-second margin over Craig Lowndes. Craig does a 12.7 on this lap. Courtney at 12.7. Bright at 12.8. But Tander underscore it again, an 11.9. He's bolting.
Fabulous shot there of the green compulsory pit stop lights. They are for tyres. And once they complete their compulsory stop, the window is between lap 5, or it opens at lap 5. They must turn that off once completed. And that compulsory pit stop window ends on lap 31.
Neil, you mentioned before about Garth Tander and concentrating on his power down. Greg Murphy is really trying to wrestle car 51 at the moment, and I can sense it from his radio chat. He's getting a little frustrated that he can't get the power down on soon enough with that Super Cheap Auto Commodore. Having said that, good job by he and his teammate Cam McConville this weekend. The team between this round and the last event in Darwin have done a fair bit of chassis work to those Commodores, and they feel that they've taken, albeit a small one, a step forward.
Garth Tander again has further improved his lap speed on this lap, so as the temperatures and pressures normalise in his tyres, he's just continuing to build pace. On board with Scaife, he's in position 10, that's Radisish, and right behind Mark is Jamie Whincup, 88, there he is. Cam McConville, there's Murph, Stephen Johnson, and then Max Wilson was next in the queue in the WPS Ford.
And for the first time this season, Stephen Johnson in the First Rock Home Loans Ford has been bustled out of the top 10 in the championship. Jason Bright, with his strong run of late, has been able to get the Cat Ford up into the top 10 of the series. This is second, third and fourth. We ride with Russell Ingle.
I think until James' tyres started to just come up to temperature and pressure, he was battling. He slid through turns 1 and 2. And he looked like he had his hands full. Craig was able to make very good use of the cold tyre scenario, which is very typical of a Craig Lowndes trait, but really hasn't skipped away now in the last couple of laps. I mean, he's got a margin, but he's not marching away, is he?
Well, when you're fighting someone on cold tyres, you don't want to be fighting Craig Lowndes, because he's the best at it. He is the best on cold tyres. Here's Ingle, he's a strong 5th. He's ahead of Stephen Richards. Rick Kelly still in 7th. Winterbottom, Radisish. It's an improved run from the Rat, and it's refreshing to see the Team Kiwi Commodore up there, and Scaife rounds out the 10.
So the CPS window, the compulsory pit stop window, is now open. We'll see who plays the game in which way. Most people have reserved a decent tyre set for the second segment of this race. Look at that margin, 5 seconds on the last lap. Tander's still got masses of speed over the rest of them, and Courtney vulnerable at the moment to Jason Bright.
Bright just touches him ever so slightly, just a reminder that I'm here. I'm hassling. You make a mistake, I'll pounce.
Okay, James, end this lap, end this lap.
And they're going to get him away from Bright and Lowndes, but who else will come on in slap?
I think he's struggling for tyre grip. He wasn't quite on line there at turn 4. He didn't get the nose of the car to the apex. I think he needs to get on this other tyre set. That's the reason they're bringing him in. One thing Ross Stone said to me in the break is you never hear from James on the radio. Occasionally you hear a tiny peep, but he's not a guy that likes to spend a lot of time pushing the button. 11.8, new fastest lap of the race, Garth Tander. 1 minute 11.8, the margin now 5.6 seconds as a heap of cars come in, including Courtney on board here with Scaife. One of the Toll HSV cars is in as well. That's Rick Kelly. Whincup, Greg Murphy, Paul Morris, Paul Dumbrell. Let's see how they go processing 2 wheels and tyres.
It is just waiting for Jamie Whincup and for James Courtney to come in here, guys. Rear tyres for James Courtney. Car 2 is in as well. Good work by the Gelwin crew on James Courtney, and he will get out ahead of Rick Kelly. I can also tell you from the Triple Eight pit bunker, they have got a good strategy up their sleeve here for Craig Lowndes. You may recall that Lowndes missed the bubble in Friday qualifying. He was not able, or Saturday qualifying, I should say, he was not able to get into the top 10 shootout, and that is rare for Lowndes. That's because they only used 2 of their set of 12 tyres. They had a problem with the car in terms of understeer. And Lowndes has a waxy set, a brand new set of green rubber, which will be bolted onto his car. 4 brand new tyres for Craig Lowndes on standby.
Yeah, he's coming in now, I believe, to put that 3rd set on. He used 2 of the sets, that's 8 tyres. Looking here at the battle between John Bowe and one of the Brightech cars. What will be interesting is watching how close Courtney and Rick Kelly are at the end of this outlap and the first flying lap. There's those brand spanking new green tyres that Greg just advised us of. Because Rick went for working side tyres down the left and James went for rear tyres. It'll give you a good indication as to which of the strategies works for either team. So 2 brand spanking new ones on the back. Oh, the hose nearly went in there. That was close. Air hose nearly went in under the rear wheel arch.
And here's Courtney.
Craig rejoins.
Courtney has got ahead of Lowndes.
And that's interesting, but I reckon that if anything, James ended up with a margin over Rick on that lap, and that confirms to me that when you've got a cold steer tyre, the front left tyre, it's just a bit of a battle on your outlap. James has been able to just open a margin because typically we've seen the HSV dealer team cars running as quickly as the Gelwin car this weekend, Darryl.
One of the interesting points, Neil, I spoke to the Stone brothers during this break between race 2 and 3, and they said James has just started to finally, you've probably spoken to James about this, go off in his own direction now. He was kind of in Russell's shadow a bit and listening to Russell was set up in comments, but now he's going his own way, and they feel that that's starting to suit James with the team in the car now also.
Race leader is in. Garth Tander, here he is.
Slow it down.
Left side tyres.
Go, go, go.
Gee, that was a good stop just in terms of plucking the wheels on and off. GT said yesterday when he stalled the car, he just wasn't ready for how quickly they processed him. He said, I couldn't believe I was back on the ground. It shocked me. I popped the clutch and stopped it.
And there is Tander right up at the top there. So that shows you the difference between Tander and Courtney.
And on this tyre set, James has just popped in the new fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 11.7. So on a better set of tyres, his car's normalised a bit now, and it looks like he's got better pace, but it's still daylight. There is that daylight between 1st and 2nd. Garth Tander, massive margin.
And he is heading to win the round, but there's still a lot of work, 35 laps to go. Traffic further back in the field, Steve Owen and Jason Richards getting tangled up, and severe damage to the front panel damage, that is, to Steve Owen's Autobahn Commodore.
He's peeled the whole front left guard off that car. No doubt that will need attention. He made contact down there at turn 3 in the hairpin. They looked at that incident that he was involved in, Steve Owen, on the approach to turn 4 in the previous race with Mark Winterbottom, and decided that there was no further case to answer. But I think I covered off before that in the stoush between Todd Kelly and Steve Owen, Todd effectively got what is the time equivalent of a drive-through penalty.
This will be a huge boost to James Courtney if he can pick up 2nd in the round as we ride with Stephen Richards to be the best finishing Ford and the best of all of the Queensland-based Ford teams. That'll be a huge boost for him.
Russell Ingall's the race leader at the moment in the Caltex entry. Jason Bright in.
Clear run out, mate. Clear run out. Go, 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 go.
All right, where does Jason Bright pop out in relation to James Courtney? We know that Tander has a huge margin, but there's Courtney and Rick Kelly and Craig Lowndes. Where does Bright come out in relation to that group? These guys are on the front straight. This is going to be very close. Bright not yet back up to speed. Courtney's got him easily. The 3 of them have got him easily.
Bright dropping back in behind Craig Lowndes there. And Courtney continues to hold his own. I think Rick Kelly was on target to further improve the quickest lap of the race. Actually, looking at that, he was very fast in sectors 1 and 2. He missed out slightly in sector 3. Kelly's best lap was done just then, 1 minute 11.8. James has done the fastest lap of the race of 1 minute 11.7.
12 of the 31 cars yet to complete their compulsory pit stop for tyres. Russell Ingall is the race leader, and he is one of those 12 yet to stop.
Hard to imagine anybody laying a glove on Garth at this point, isn't it? That was an awesome opening lap on cold tyres. The car so strong. Escapes 19th in this race at the moment, sandwiched between Stephen Richards and Jamie Whincup.
Go.
Left rear was a little bit slower than for Cam. Green light switched off behind the screen there.
When you speak about anyone laying a glove on Garth Tander, Neil, it's worthy of mentioning that this is actually the venue where Garth Tander achieved his first ever V8 Supercar round win way back in 1999, in only his second year of V8 Supercar racing with Ingall. And he's in.
What we just witnessed there is the critical area, the arrival into pit lane,
Where you come out.
where it's very easy to overstep that control line and arrive above 40 Ks. That's where probably 95% of the penalties occur. Down here, it's electronically controlled, 40 kilometres per hour.
Wait. Go. Straight out.
And you're about to see a whole lot more of Russell Ingall on national television. Caltex just today debuted their brand new television commercial featuring Russell Ingall. And I must say, it's quite humorous. It's very funny, very creative, very clever. And it was filmed right here at Queensland Raceway. Pops out in front of Stephen Richards and will have his hands full. Scaife is fighting with Whincup in the background. And as Greg detailed not long ago, for Whincup and for the 888 team to just not give up and to salvage 12 points. 12 points or 17 points? I think it was 12 points off the top of my head. 12. It was a very good effort in the second race, because we know, well, last year's championship, the final round, the Big Pond Grand Finale at Phillip Island, that was a classic example of just how valuable every single point is in this series. It's so close. So grab something from nothing was a good effort, Greg.
Another driver who's, I guess, taken a similar approach. Different circumstances, though, but Paul Radicic has been punching above his weight this weekend and putting some good points in the bank. They've done that Team Kiwi through a bit of strategy, run the gauntlet a little bit and pitted later in the game. But some changes as far as the Paul Morris Motorsport operation is concerned. Paul Sepranich, who's been a long-term engineer with that operation, we understand is will now just contract basically to the Paul Morris outfit on race weekends. He's going to set up his own race engineering business, and Arch McMurray will continue to look after the engines, but Alan Draper, we believe, won't be a part of that side of things. But good effort by Radicic, and he says, Neil, and this is often a common problem when you test at a venue like this, he said, on test days, we've got no problem banking some fast times. When you get a race weekend like this, where there's all sorts of different categories here, 31 V8 Supercars, the track really rubbers up. He said it changes the nature of the circuit. He said the Stone brothers have got their head around that. He said we need to do more work in that regard when the circuit's got plenty of rubber down.
It's hard to imagine that it could change that much, but it does. And we detailed that at the top of the show when we rattled through the track facts and looked at the characteristics of this place. It's remarkable. And there are different times of the day, regardless of even the rubber levels, where the speed can change here.
Just 5, make that 4 cars yet to complete their stop. And then we will see Tander right at the top. Radicic, Stephen Johnson, Todd Kelly and Andrew Jones. Those drivers we're waiting for. But they've got plenty of time. The compulsory pit stop window doesn't close until lap 31, and we have got 30 laps left in this race.
James is 5.3 seconds behind Garth Tander at the moment. They're in 5th and 6th. Radicic, Johnson, Kelly, Jones. top 4 fellas that have not yet processed their compulsory pit stop to get onto the second. I keep calling them sets of tyres, but of course it's 2.
And these two have been very evenly matched this weekend. Greg Murphy, Cameron McConville, racing together all weekend. And although it's not all that flattering to be kind of just outside the top 10, it's certainly heading in the right direction compared to where they have been. In saying that, McConville did finish inside the top 10 in the round at Darwin. Did a very handy job. There's still some frustration there, but it is heading in the right direction. And Max Wilson, after a very frustrating second race, with that damage on the front end, Darryl detailed that a little earlier. He got caught up in that first turn melee.
Oop, Cam just off the road there on the exit.
Wilson's punching hard, fighting hard to run with McConville.
30 laps to go. P17, you're doing really well. Your lap times are very competitive.
How much does that mean to you, mate, when you're in the cockpit, you got the race face on, you get some positive reinforcement, some encouragement from the pit lane?
Generally, it's you know, when it's good news like that, like all good news, it gets pretty well received. Sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful, though. It depends on the driver-engineer combination and their relationship and how well your radios are working, but it can at times become a massive distraction at just the wrong moment, and it almost startles you out of the trance that you're in. And over the years, we've seen different people make mistakes or maybe fall off the road as a result of that. Just got to be super careful. But each of the driver-engineer combinations in this race very well experienced. They know what they're doing, and they usually have a preferred method. But little updates occasionally are handy, particularly when it comes to strategic stuff. Sometimes it helps you formulate a view as to whether or not you should have a lunge or perhaps just hold back.
Instead, he is salvaging points. He did get his 6th race win of the season earlier in race 2. However, that was the reverse grid race. He's sitting 10th at the moment and trying to make an impression on Stephen Richards in the Jack Daniels Racing Commodore.
Margin between Tander and Courtney is 5.3 seconds. Been pretty static in the recent past. Those two are 3rd and 4th. Remember that Radisich and Kelly haven't stopped. So Tander's the net leader of the race. I think this is going to end up being one of those weekends that Mark Scaife ruse when you came into it with such strength, fast on Friday by a margin, fast in qualifying by a margin, then it all went wrong in the shootout and progressed into the difficulties, of course, with the contact that he and Rick Kelly had down at turn 3. It's coming up to turn 4 here, so let's just go on board and have a listen and a look at Scaife at work.
What it's like to do a lap around Queensland Raceway. Inside a V8 supercar as Bright gets taily. Just dropped a wheel off track in his pursuit of Craig Lowndes.
Scaife was right at the braking limit a couple of times then when we were with him. You could see the steering column as it went through the firewall.
Bright's got a run on here.
Turn 3, he was pushing hard. Yeah, here comes Brighty. Good job down the inside, got it done.
Lowndes went a little wide, turn 6. And Bright capitalised, saw it, went for it. Now Ingle wants a shot at Lowndes.
I'm not sure exactly what's happened to James Courtney's car, if anything is happening. Yeah, he's slowing down now, coming onto the back straight. Looked like fluid was coming out behind the left-hand rear wheel.
Oh, really? Yeah, I've just heard
Left-hand rear tyre.
there's someone spun. Scape's gone off on the rubbish and he's buried. This will be a safety car if he can't get it out. There must be something. Yeah, Scape's off at turn 2. And they're all on the radio talking about the fluid that's coming from James' car.
Jesus Christ.
And the despair from within the Scaife cockpit.
Safety car. Safety car's been deployed.
Well, sometimes we can go a whole weekend with no WPS Chrysler safety car. This weekend, this is the 4th. As Todd Kelly dives in for his compulsory pit stop.
On all 4. Swinging early, mate.
So this will work out pretty good for Todd.
And for Radicic.
That's the reason why they waited. They're hoping for this break. So these two guys will be, they'll be having a big giggle about this. And they're all confirming on the radio that the oil, whatever it is that's coming from James's car, is plentiful.
Neil, the strange thing is it's just come past the pit straight again. I've looked down the back of the car in the same situation and it's not doing it now. So it's very odd and he's back up to speed again.
I wonder what that was all about then. Very weird.
Safety car.
They're still all having a half a race here.
Yeah, tyre feels okay now.
That was the voice of Courtney.
All the engine coming back down again.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Whatever it is, it's actually... was it oil? It looked like fuel because it gave me the impression it was actually splashing then. We'll have a closer look.
I wonder if any damage was done earlier when he was hit in the rear end in race 2.
Something definitely wrong in the rear of the car.
Yeah, James is confirming something definitely wrong in the rear of the car. Here's that move that Jason put on Craig Lowndes, possibly because of whatever could have been on the road. Unusual for Lowndes to end up offline there like he did. He tried to press on. Look at that, the way he slots back in. Cigarette paper between those cars. Craig just turns back in, uses the ripple strip just to peg the car a little bit through turn 1 and presses on. I'm a bit surprised.
Everybody's still pressing on.
You took the words out of me. I'm a bit surprised. There are yellow flags all around the circuit. There's an intervention vehicle on the circuit. And these blokes are all still at pretty much full tilt. I don't reckon that's going to go down well in the building that we're sitting in here at the moment.
Coming in, boys. He's coming in. James Courtney, they've just radioed him. Paul Forgy and Jim Stone, as you can see, are looking at the data and some critical numbers. I'm not sure whether it's oil pressure that they were... I'm trying to get to the bottom of exactly what it is. I know you're concerned about what type of fluid it is. I'll endeavour to find that out and come back to you.
Thanks, Rusty. We've also got a report that Jason Bright's still got this brake knock-off drama. A lot of frustration for these fellas who've endured a tough...
We can patch it, you know.
First half of the season anyway. Oh, dear me.
He was headed for second in this round. He's had the drive of his V8 career, albeit a very short one.
The upside is that he knows that he's done a good job.
Yes.
He's been able to race effectively with these guys. There's some positives out of this for sure.
And he's shown the V8 paddock what he is capable of. And Paul Forgy just outlining the rules and regulations. If they take the car into the pit bay, then they're all allowed to jump on it. Out in the lane, in the working lane, they're restricted to the number of personnel.
Rusty, did you have a look at that data screen then? I saw you skulking around the screen.
I had a word to Jim Stone. They're a little cagey with me at the moment, as you can understand, boys. My direct question to him, is it fuel or is it oil? He glanced at the numbers and he looked back at him. He says, I don't know, but I think we'll know more shortly once James has got this car in the pit bunker.
I think some sort of an oil thing for sure. I thought I saw a shot of fluid splashing out of it, but we'll find out.
Neil, the car's just gone past me in pit lane and it definitely smells like a burning oil, so I guess Rusty will get to the bottom of it as well.
Field still under the WPS safety car. Stone Brothers team go to work. Jim Stone, Paul Forgy right at the front of that car. Scaife has been rescued. We saw that a little earlier. And now he makes his way down pit lane as well to complete a tough weekend.
Yeah, did you hear Jimmy?
Yeah, only 6 on the card, and the Avesco official confirmed, no, you can have as many as you like on here. So all hands on, boys.
Yeah, it's only 6 when they're out in the lane.
I won't cross that line. Johnny, I won't cross.
The Holden Racing team inspecting the right rear of Mark Scaife. Lights are out on the safety car. Ready to go back to racing.
So I wonder whether they've got another issue there. I thought he would have gone off on the Courtney oil, but maybe he had some other problem.
Can't see him, change off 4.
It's the voice of Rob Starr saying if you can't see anything, just change all 4 and let's get on with it.
They're just doing a steering check on it.
All clear? Okay.
I know we're getting ready for the restart here, boys. Quick comment from Ross Stone. What is this?
Oh, it's definitely an engine problem. The oil temperature went up and blew a lot of smoke out, then it stopped, so it's not a good sign.
You think the engine itself is okay? You've brought it in?
It's running okay, but I think it's all over.
You can sense the deflation, boys. You've got a feel for them. But that, unfortunately, is part of this caper. It's a hard game, and you've got to have every element working perfectly all the time to get the results you require.
Back we go, racing once again. And Garth Tander, the man at the front of this field. To update you, incidentally, on Paul Radisich and Todd Kelly with their stops and how it served them. Radisich is 7th overall, so there was a net gain there, and Todd Kelly is in 12th. And Steve Owen, that car is a lapped car, so he just gets passed by the toll duo of Garth Tander, Rick Kelly. Operating in a very effective pair. Great team driving this weekend. Now Engel gets by the lapped Autobahn Commodore of Steve Owen and presses on in his pursuit of Lowndes.
He's down in 28th at the moment. I think they're going to bring the Scaife car back in as well. So there must be some other issue with that.
There's Radisich for Team Kiwi Racing.
I just remembered why. Of course, there was the mudguard missing off Steve's car, so the reason why he was at the back of the field was they would have had to bring him in and take it off.
Look at the bumps.
Yeah, he took the words out of my mouth again. They're shockers, aren't they?
Ho going their way down into turn 1. My dad came out here a couple of weeks ago to watch the Australian Superbike round. He said you should have seen the boys on 2 wheels handling it. So they had their hands full.
I bet their forearms were pumped up after that.
Oh, yeah. Here's Bright. He's having a very good third race. Pushing hard in the Cat Ford. We're into the second half of this one now. And they're scrapping further back in the field. Gary Rogers, Team BOC, WPS and Tasman. And Scaife is back in. That's Bargwana.
The way Mark Scaife is chatting on the radio, Lee, is that it's a hub or some sort of issue, definitely in the rear of this car. And Rob Starr wasn't able to give me absolute clarity because they're trying to find the absolute cause of this problem for Scaife. Separate issue.
Yeah, there's a big issue here for Warren Luff in the Fujitsu Ford. Brytech man, it occurred right near pit in. And there are plenty of positives to take away from this weekend. 7th and 8th for Paul Radisich, Todd Kelly. While we're in the break, there was a little hustling and bustling in the midfield section, and Whincup got hustled back. Todd Kelly was the winner. He gained a position, and now he's starting to menace the Rat, Paul Radisich. A little bit of a whisper around too that Team Kiwi Racing may be going to the Blue Oval in the future. So we'll stay tuned for that, but it's an interesting story that we will follow.
Strategy has helped Todd Kelly here enormously, hasn't it, by being able to take that compulsory stop under the safety car conditions when he was able to come in right at the very beginning of that. Look at him now after being buried because of the penalty in the last race right down the back of the field. Now he's 8th and in this great stoush with Paul Radisich.
Zinger replay. This was earlier. This is what I was talking about a moment ago.
They're giving
car 2 a drive-through penalty. That is Mark Scaife for shortcutting the track, but I think that's the least of their problems at the moment.
And Whincup just got hustled wide enough, dropped a couple of wheels off, slowed him down. Todd Kelly capitalised. Nice work.
James Courtney, guys, you must be absolutely gutted.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. We had showed good pace all weekend, and to go out while coming second is a little bit disappointing. But it's a long road to the top, and these guys know they've got a lot of work ahead of them, and we've sort of come a long way up that road, but we're still not at the end yet. So
I know you'll draw some positives out of this, James, because you're good at doing that. This is encouraging, though, heading into the Enduros. I know you're on course for a podium today, but you'll leave here with good stride.
yeah, exactly, and it's a long way to go yet, and there's plenty of time to win some races. So that's a little disappointing, but that's the game we're in.
Just quickly, did it give you any warning? What happened?
It started to get a little bit taily into 4, and then when I went into 6, it was just game over, and I tried. First, I thought it was a flat tyre, so I was trying to get back into the pits, but I think it was just a lot of oil dumping onto the rear tyres. So.
You're originally from Sydney. We want to see you do well at Oran Park.
That's it. Thanks a lot, mate.
Yeah, now based on the Gold Coast, he and his wife, Karis.
And behind our commentary area, I can hear the Scaife car rumbling by, serving that drive-through penalty. There he is. So 2.1 second margin, Garth Tander to Rick Kelly. 12.2 on the last lap for Garth. 12.5 for Rick. 12.7 Jason Bright in third. 12.6 Craig Lowndes fourth. 12.5 Russell Ingall fifth. 12.7 Stevie Richards. 12.4 Todd Kelly. So of the group that I've just mentioned, Todd's the second fastest of the cars after Garth Tander. Look at this. All happening here between Radisich and Whincup. Braking approach to turn 4, side by side.
And is this a different occasion? Jamie getting forceful now, tried to. There was never enough road there, but he's on it. Up the front of the field though. This is our race leader. Current points for the race meeting. It will be Tander who wins, and that is very understandable. He's dominated the weekend. He will spoil the Queensland-based team's party.
Only 2 locals in the top 5, Craig Lowndes, Russell Ingall.
And that was a key motivating factor coming here to Queensland Raceway. The Victorian-based team said, well, Lowndes won at Winton. That's not his home test track, that's ours. We want to do what he did to us when we go to Queensland, and that's exactly what the Toll HSV team has done. So too Ford Performance Racing, for that matter.
Rick just hasn't quite got the speed of Garth this weekend, and he's certainly a couple of car lengths clear of Jason Bright at the moment, but he doesn't need to miss a beat or he will be under pressure. But this is a dominant site. They came into the round first and third in the championship. At this point in time, Garth's about to add another 318 points to his tally, and Rick's about to add 286, so further consolidates their very, very strong position.
Tander is on his way to become our 5th different round winner this year, and this race victory will give him 3 for 2006, and that draws him level with Craig Lowndes. Ingall's still pushing hard, isn't he? So too this man, Craig Lowndes. They're going hard. They just can't make any ground with 13 to go.
12.6 for Tander, 12.6 again for Rick, 12.7 Jason Bright, 12.6 Craig Lowndes, 12.6 Russell Ingall. Everybody's locked on a very similar speed. Ooh, that looks ordinary, doesn't it, when 3 into 2 starts the big squeeze.
Andrew Jones, his uncle Brad Jones ahead.
Todd Kelly did a 12.2 on that lap in 7th, so he continues to be the flyer of the group. They've done 32 laps of this race. 2.4 seconds is the margin between Garth Tander and Rick Kelly.
And boys, just spare a thought this weekend. We haven't seen a huge amount of Tasman motorsport on the radar, have we? When you compare it to the last round, where Jason Richards almost scored a podium, finished 4th for the weekend, and a very, very strong race result in the final one there up at Hidden Valley. I spoke to Wally Story, the chief engineer for that operation, just prior to this race, and he sort of had a funny look about him. He said, this place, there's just something about it. I've got a good kit, but there's something missing in my kit every time I come to Queensland Raceway. He said, I can tell you it's not roll centre, I can tell you it's not springs, but one thing he did believe it was maybe shock absorber. And Wally won't like me using this term, but he's a bit of a shock absorber geek, so I wouldn't mind betting that he'll go away and do some homework on that in between now and the next time we visit Queensland Raceway.
He has devoted 1 or 2 grey hairs to this place over the years, and he's never really totally cracked the code. It is awkward. 12.5 that lap for Garth Tander, 12.8 Rick Kelly, 2.7 seconds is the margin first to second. Once again, Todd Kelly at 12.3. He's grabbing anything up to half a second a lap, and he'll rapidly find himself in this key group of cars at the front. But of course, he'll come up on a wall of cars, including Stevie Richards, Russell Ingall, Craig Lowndes, Jason Bright. Here he is. He's now just about to get to the back of Stephen Richards.
And Warren Luff in the Brightech Ford obviously attended to that problem. He's back out there. Warren had a pretty good run at Darwin in the reverse grid race. And this weekend, though, hasn't been quite as impressive. It's been tough going. He's back down in the order in 29th. Back on board with Lowndes.
It's a great pressure battle between these guys, isn't it? All of them. These are great races to participate in. By this stage of the weekend, you're very in sync with the track, very in sync with your car. You feel every little movement. You know what you can and can't get away with. Basically, you're looking at world-class professionals here, all running at exactly 100%. Not 1% above, not 1% below. They're squeezing everything there is to get. Tyre condition at this point in the weekend starting to be pretty ordinary.
Craig Lowndes was Juan Pablo Montoya's teammate back in 1997 when he went over to Europe to do F3000. I asked him the other night at a corporate function, how do you think Montoya will go in NASCAR? He raised his eyebrows and said, we'll see.
Yeah, not a lot of love lost between those two. JPM's not known to be the easiest bloke in the world to work with. I don't reckon you'd get two personalities further apart. There's a report on the radio then from the race director for V8 Supercar Australia officials to keep an eye on car 1, Russell Ingall. Some reports of smoke out of the left rear of that car. There he is, 5th at the moment. 1 minute 12.4 for Tander, 12.6 for Rick Kelly. The margin now 2.9 seconds. So Garth just controlling this race, and Rick neatly queuing up the gang behind.
Russell Ingall has an incredible record here at Queensland Raceway, even before it was his home track. He's won here, he's been on the podium here. In fact, he has never finished outside the top 10. Always performs well. He said he doesn't particularly like this circuit, but he said it's always been kind to me.
Lee, I've just had a word to Barry Hay to follow up your comment there about Russell Ingall. He shook his head and said, not us. Don't think it's us at all, but some people may be suggesting it's Jason Bright, and I can see some wisps of smoke coming from the Caterpillar Ford, and Todd Kelly, who's gone off down to turn 3, was just behind that queue, not far behind them. So I wonder if there's something coming from the Cat Ford.
Well, they came back on the radio then, Greg, and said that there was no evidence of anything from Russell Ingall's car, but they were definitely instructed to watch car 1 closely for a lap. And obviously not much to see. So there's Barry, he's going to have a look himself. If they're not seeing it on the data, then there may be no big deal there. Garth 12.6, still 0.2 quicker that lap than Rick. Now the margin out to 3.1. This group of cars we're watching here are all locked on 12.8s. Rick Kelly, Jason Bright, Craig Lowndes. Russell's a whisker quicker than them. And then it's Stephen Richards missing now Todd Kelly after he detoured and went off in the, I think it's the runoff area at turn 6. No, it was turn 3 by the look of it. Big lock up late in the stop, and there he goes, wanders wide. So that was gone wide at 3 when he tried to put the move on Stephen. That was the battle for 6th and 7th, and you could see that Todd had it all crossed up like a motocross bike, fired across the front of him and whistled into the dirt.
Something interesting, Lee, I've been watching over the last couple of laps. And Stephen Johnson about 3 laps ago really slowed down the back straightaway, and then it looked like he was back up to race speed again, and he's having a slow down again down the back straight. So something going on with that car right now. And
looking at that overhead shot there of Jason Bright's car, there was something odd coming out the left-hand side of the car. Yeah, it didn't look right, did it? they've just asked Jason to make a small brake bias adjustment. He's still lapping very effectively, 12.5. In fact, very quick that lap, 12.2 for Garth Tander. That's a very quick lap from him. His best lap in the race is 11.8, so that's only 4/10 away at this late stage from his very best lap of the race, which tells you how good that car's working. This is the issue that we raised before, and Stephen's just checking, I think, to make sure that it all feels right, that everything's in the right spot. Oh, Will Davison with a front right heavily locked as he went under Max Wilson.
New colour scheme, new sponsor on board Will Davison's car, the 18 machine.
Cam McConville on the radio as well. I think he's reporting having dropped a cylinder. The car's running on 7, and they just got the instruction press on, so they obviously don't really mind. Even if it is beating itself to death, they're just going to run it through to the end of the race and get the points.
And this has been a pretty good recovery too. Will Davison to be sitting in 12th in this third and final race. Started the weekend way back in 27th, worked his way up to 19th at the end of race 1, was caught up in that carnage in turn 1, race 2. So to rebound like this, to be just outside the top 10, that's a mighty effort. I know that he was very disappointed. I spoke with him during the break between races, and he said, you know, we came here and tested a week ago Thursday, and I was doing exactly the same lap times as Lowndes, as Whincup, as the Stones boys. But when we rolled the car out this weekend, the track was different. There's Dick Johnson looking on. We scratched our heads, we did a lot of work, but now, finally, race 3, last one of the weekend, it's all come good for Will Davison, whose brother will join the Dick Johnson Racing organisation for the Enduros, and it's possibly day done for McConville.
Yeah, that'll be continuation of the problem we discussed. New livery on this car for Will. I spoke to him just before the start of the race, and he said the bottom line to the story, a long conversation, was, man, it's tough out there. He's been having a hard weekend. There's the Super Cheap Auto Commodore, a little worse for wear, bonnet up, having a look at what the problem is with the misfire or what the issue may be. Is it simple? Is it traceable? Can they resolve it and get the car back out? You imagine how massively hot it is under the bonnet there at the moment. Not good working conditions. 3.6 seconds is the margin, Garth Tander and Rick Kelly. And once again, Garth just opened up another couple of tenths in the last lap. Bargwanna and Steve Ellery here in dispute at turn 4.
This is further down the order. This is for 21st position. And that's not where Jason Bargwanna deserves to be racing, because he had a good second race. He had bad luck in the first. There was an electrical problem that forced him out. He DNF'd, and when you DNF in this 3-race format, and the reverse grid coming up next, you get sent right to the back, and that's what happened to he and Todd Kelly. Final 3 laps here at Queensland Raceway. Back on board with Lowndes. This was the man, the big storyline coming into this weekend. Lowndes was heading for a hat trick. Well, it dispels the rumour and the belief that you're best at your test track, because Lowndes previously won at 2 tracks he'd never won at before, at Winton and at Hidden Valley, but here on home soil, the Queensland Ford teams haven't been able to get it done.
No, and that's becoming a bit of a common thing. We've seen it before over the years, and the reason for that, Lee, is you end up kind of locked onto a setup sheet, an ideal setup, a baseline that you begin to work from. Sometimes as the personality of the track changes so much because it rubbers up because of the increased V8 supercar usage and the other cars that are out there from different categories, the track changes so much that what once worked doesn't even go close to working. Seeing a replay here, is this Will getting a wee bit wide again down there at 3, and he loses that spot that he worked hard for before with Max. Bit of a shame. And the problem with the way in which you set up all racing cars is not a 3-minute process. It's something that you evolve over a long period of time. So when all of a sudden you find yourself a little bit lost, you need a lot of track time to fix it. And that's something they don't have. You get a lot of time on Friday afternoon, but after that, it gets very difficult to really stray too far. You can click here or there, make little changes, but if you're going to make big changes, it takes you into the unknown, into the dark zone. I tell you what, the other thing is we're not going to have an issue with it, but we're a bit lucky with the weather, because all around this racetrack at the moment, it's ringed by filthy big black clouds.
Brings back memories of 2001, doesn't it? Darryl.
Cam McConville, it's been a struggle all weekend. You've built your way up, and then a big blow like this to finish the weekend off.
Yeah, Daz, we'll start at 9th for the final, and maybe a top 10 round result. 5 laps from the end, it dropped the cylinder, started running rough, then smoke in the cabin, and you know, I wanted to press on and get some points, but they said come in, and it's obviously done something major in the engine.
You and Murph have been working hard on the cars, and the team has to try and get back into the action. Do you feel like you're making progress now with them?
Oh, definitely. You know, we haven't made a lot of progress, we've made small progress, and you know, as I say, we started inside the 10 for 2 rounds in a row. Darwin and here was looking good, but it hurts you a little bit when you have the odd mechanical failure.
Hard luck.
Cheers, mate.
Disconsolate Cam McConville, nothing worse than mechanical dramas ending a huge day's work. And there's that weather that I spoke about. It looks pretty brutal over the mountains, but the sun is shining here, and the margin is 3.8 seconds, so it's well and truly shining on Garth Tander and Rick Kelly, and Rick in fact has now begun to ease away from the other guys too, so he's clearing Jason Bright, Craig Lowndes, Russell Ingall, and here's Garth
on his way home. 1.5 laps to go. That's Leanne, his wife, very accomplished racer in her own right. And her husband has done a mighty job.
Look for the checker next time round, mate.
Look for the checker next time round, and it'll be easy because there's a clear track ahead.
Well, he's deserved it this weekend, no doubt. Great job, just that one little mistake where he stalled the car off the jacks. Otherwise, it's just been a brilliant performance. Great driving, and coupled to the fact that the car's just performing beautifully. His speed through turn 2 here all weekend, the way they had the car working there, how well it was operating under brakes, a credit to he and his engineering group. They've just done terrific things this weekend, and that really consolidates his position. He whacks another 318 points in the bank on top of his score coming into this round. You can see Rick's got no pressure on him now either. I don't think any of these places are going to change between Bright, Lowndes, Ingall unless somebody makes a mistake. Just a couple of corners to run here.
Lowndes and Tander were the 2 most talked about pre-season as the title favourites. It's those 2 at the top of the championship tree. However, Garth Tander has extended the lead margin. It was only 8 points coming into Queensland. It's certainly a lot more than that now. And he repeats what he did in 1999. Garth Tander wins Queensland in a dominant performance. And Holden breaks Ford's run here at Queensland Raceway. In fact, Holden dominated the entire weekend. Scaife and Tander topped every session, every race.
And Rick Kelly was a bit unlucky to not make the podium for the round result. He's finished 4th overall, 2nd in the race. So the winner of the round, Garth Tander, 2nd, Jason Bright, and 3rd, Craig Lowndes.
5 different round winners in 2006. You can add Garth Tander's name to the list.
That's a good stat in just 6 rounds, isn't it?
Yeah. Ford Performance Racing. A lot to be happy about there too. And they're showing that it's no flash in the pan. Lowndes, not the same weekend as the previous 2, was it? But still, it's all about bagging those points. And he's done that. It was a challenging weekend, to say the least, for 888 Race Engineering, Team Better Electrical.
2 fourths and a 6th place out of the 3 races for Craig. Probably not what he imagined, not what most people imagined coming into the round, as you quite rightly pointed out. But if you're going to have one of those rounds, then why not come home with 288 points with a straight car and a chance to go away and have a think about it and perhaps make improvements before Oran Park, where traditionally Craig has been pretty good.
Let's check the VB scoreboard. We know the top man and his teammate followed him home in a very strong 1-2. That's why those guys lead the team's championship this year. And then a string of Fords, Bright, Lowndes and Ingall. Stephen Richards had a very workmanly weekend, went about his work in fine fashion and bagged a heap of points as well. And Radicic will be delighted to be in the top 10 and 7th in the 3rd and final race. And then we wind back just outside the top 10. Max Wilson, that's a very solid and consistent weekend for him. And Will Davison, it'll be a pat on the back and some reward for a long weekend of hard work. And Dean Canto soldiering on to 13th. And then we get back, you look at the bottom of that page, and that's a disappointment. James Courtney, he didn't deserve that, but that's one of the things that happens in motor racing. It can't always go your way, but we have seen what the young man can do in a V8 supercar. They're lining up, they're getting ready for the podium presentation, and it's time for Garth Tander to celebrate. We'll see it all when we come back. Nice to step from the car, a winner. Race and round. The big man has done it. And Matty Nielsen, his race engineer, Teco as they call him in the team, the first on hand to congratulate him. A job well done, they're a hard-working team. And last but not least, a nice kiss from wife Leanne. He deserved it. Good hard work. Let's take a look at the race meeting points, the round points for round 6 of this championship. And Garth Tander, clear winner, no doubt about that, from the 2 Ford men, Jason Bright and Craig Lowndes. Tander's teammate Kelly back in 4th, and Russell Ingall, I pointed out that stat a little earlier. He is so consistent here at Queensland Raceway. A fine 5th. What about the Rat coming in 8th for the round? That was a nice effort. And Greg Murphy inside the 10 as well. That'll give him some motivation. Dean Canto, nice job for Gary Rogers Motorsport. And look at that, that's cruel, isn't it? James Courtney down in 12th when he had 2nd lined up. But nonetheless, as we said, plenty of positives to take away from this weekend. Well, it's time to talk about the top 3. And here's Greg Rust.
Well, our thanks to Big Pond for their support of this round, and our thanks to you, the Queensland fans who've turned out in droves. 67,000 of you across 3 days. Well done once again. Very, very passionate about their V8 supercar racing in this state. 3rd place, he dearly would have loved the win. The weekend didn't start so well, but again, he salvages some points from 888 Race Engineering. Give it up for Craig Lowndes. Craig just collecting his trophy from Jonathan Bonney there, the marketing manager for Telstra Countrywide. Good effort there from you, and great work by the team. You certainly harassed James Courtney very early there on the cold tyres, didn't you?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. It's it's a bit of a pity. It's our home test track. We didn't quite get it right, but to Garth and his guys, well done. We got you down there and you got us back, so good job to them. And to Jason and FPR, they did also a good job. But to our guys, we did struggle, but really at the end of the day, we've been able to get back on the podium. Good
point you make about this state of origin rivalry between the teams and everyone knocking each other off at their respective test tracks. The next event, Oran Park, though, quite a tricky circuit.
Well, it is. It's something that, we had a good car speed there last year. We had a bit of an unfortunate with speeding in pit lane, but really, we go down there with a lot of confidence. We've managed to come back from 12th on the grid, so, our boys worked pretty hard today. And to all the Ford fans, thank you very much. Sorry we couldn't make it 3 in a row.
Quick one for you. Good strategy by your team. I know in qualifying you weren't able to use all your available tyres, but you kept 2 brand new green ones for that final race.
Yeah, it was really good. We had good cold tyre speed, and that's where I was able to get to James. But really, I think we had a slightly slower pit stop than we have in the first 2 races. So look, them's the brakes. We'll go home and think about it, scratch our heads, and see what we come up with.
Craig Lowndes, 3rd for the weekend in the Big Pond 400 here at Queensland Raceway. In recent rounds, they have really emerged as a serious force, and it's great to have them on the podium once again from Ford Performance Racing. Give a nice round of applause. 2nd for this event, Jason Bright. Nice work, and that's a good result.
It is a good result. We struggled in the reverse grid race today, but the car was certainly on the money in that last race, and we were able to put a bit of pressure on Rick for 2nd place, but yeah, couldn't quite get around him.
In the past, your cars, many have thought here in the pit lane, have been perhaps on the stiffer side, but they've handled the bumps here at Queensland Raceway very well this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, last year here we really struggled, and we've done a lot of work to get on top of that, and full credit to the guys because we have got a quick car on every track we go to now, and just got to get a win on the board. That's all I want to do.
They'll be looking forward to that at Oran Park maybe, and I know the Ford Performance Racing team very happy with Jason Bright. He'll collect his trophy from Jonathan Bonney from Telstra. But we welcome to the podium for the 2nd time in as many rounds. Top step of the Dias 2 from the Toll HSV dealer team. Give a nice Queensland round of applause. Garth Tander, ladies and gentlemen, wins the Big Pond 400. You said to me at Darwin, hey, this is the start of the new financial year. We're going to get lots more podiums on the books, and that's proof in the pudding.
Yeah, car was just awesome in that one, Rusty. I mean, just to be able to put your head down and go and pull a gap, it's just haven't been able to do that for a long, long time. Probably Simmons Plains last year, and the car was far, far better than we've had all year, and I think it's a sign of things to come. That, I mean, we've we've found something since Darwin, and we're only cracked the tip of the iceberg. I think there's more to come.
Not just in a straight line, it fired out of the corners really well. I know you're real stoked with the boys. Congratulations.
Yeah, big thanks to the guys here at the circuit. A massive thanks to the guys back at the workshop. Really, really happy with this one, mate.
There he is, Garth Tander. Could that be a sign of things to come? Winner of the Big Pond 400 and round 7 of the Championship Series.
In many ways, 2006 is mirroring 2005. Great diversity. We mentioned it earlier, our 5th different round winner from 6 rounds this season. Well done, Garth Tander. You thoroughly deserved that one today. He came into this round with an 8-point championship lead. That is now extended to 38 over Craig Lowndes. And then you see Jason Bright on the podium today and really rocketing up and being serious championship contenders. They've still got a lot of work to do though. There's some interesting stories to tell within that top 10. Stephen Johnson, for the first time this season, has been bumped out of the top 10, and Cameron McConville soldiering on. Paul Radisic's points today will have helped elevate him into the top 15. Well, there we go. It doesn't get any better. It's even this season. 3 for Ford, 3 for Holden. Good stuff from Tander.
Fantastic. When you look at Garth's stats, a win, a second, a win. Doesn't get much better than that. When you consider that the second one's reverse grid, that's a handsome performance, and he won by almost 4 seconds at the end of it, so congratulations to him. Great performance.